glad you could join us for this awesome time where we get to interview Kyler Kroll here. So Kyler, tell us who you are.
So, hey everyone, my name is Kyler Kroll. I'm 18 years old and I'm a freshman pre-nursing major at Point Loma Nazarene University in San Diego, California.
So how's the quarantine and COVID treating you these days?
You know, just like anything else, I love it. No, I'm just kidding. It's not much to do. You know, it's putting a lot of hindrance and rules on the daily life. But by the blessing of God, I was able to come off campus and it's been really good. Met a lot of cool people and still have just as many opportunities to do cool, fun things.
You're in college in the middle of a pandemic. I just heard this awesome story about kind of some of the things that you've been doing on campus. So give us a little rundown of kind of like what started this gathering of people to worship God. Like what kind of inspired you to go do that?
Yeah, so me and a couple of my buddies started this church youth group type thing. It's called Rooted, and we started it here on campus. And it all kind of started with, some of you might know him, his name is Daniel Lee. He's my roommate, one of my best friends. And we kind of were just sitting in our dorm room one night and like talking about God, diving into the word. And we thought that there was this like big absence of community. Like obviously COVID stripped us of a lot, but like the biggest thing that we lost, I feel, was that sense of community. We couldn't go to church. We couldn't go talk to people. Like socially distancing was huge. And then at the beginning of COVID, nobody like wanted to talk to anyone else because they thought they were going to die because nobody really knew what was going on. So we both like agreed that there was this lack of community and we wanted to start this type of group, but that was last year. And we kind of prayed about it, talked to Pastor John about it. And then it didn't die, but it kind of just stopped at that for the time being. And now I realized that was God's timing, and it pushed us until we got to about a couple months ago. And one of my other good friends here, his name is Jacob Margot Ewitz, and he's a business major here at Point Loma. And he kind of hit us up and was like, yo, I think you guys, I'm just feeling God pulled me to like ask you guys to help. And I'm starting this group thing. And I kind of just was like, whoa, that's trippy, because we had the same idea. So then talking to Jacob, and then me, Jacob, and some other people just kept brainstorming. And then we finally put it together and we came down with like on a final idea that was Rooted. And that's what we have so far.
It sounds like God like orchestrated all these things. Not only did you have this idea, he put this idea in someone else's mind too, and then kind of put you guys together. So tell me about some of your goals of what this group would hope to accomplish together.
Yeah, so I think the number one goal for us is just giving people a safe place, to just be themselves, giving someone a safe spot to be vulnerable and open up, because at the end of the day, being vulnerable is how you let God come in and heal, whether it be your sins, your anxieties, any of that stuff. So just giving people a safe area to like talk, because being a college student isn't easy. If I'm stressing out over a test, I'm gonna have a million other things to stress about, like being broke or something. So I just need to like sit down and just relax sometimes. So I think giving people a good safe area to like relax is really important. And then the other biggest thing is to just form that community I mentioned earlier. Being in a community is so important. Jesus didn't do it alone. He had his disciples. He went out and talked to all the people of the different lands because he knew that living in faith isn't something to do by yourself. God didn't intend for a solo mission. He didn't say it's just you. God wants to bring all the nations together and just be unified through Christ. So that's kind of our idea too. We obviously can't go out and unify the entire world and countries. I'm not some like Superman type Christian thing, but we could start in the little places, and starting in our own community here at Point Loma is just a huge thing.
Wow, that's super encouraging, Kyler. I think you hit on something really awesome, which is like, we may not be able to impact the world, but if we can impact someone next to us or someone in our small areas, who knows what we can do? Who knows what God can do? Tell me about some of the hardships or some of the roadblocks that have kind of come your way as you guys planned to organize a group like this.
One of the first ones, I give the church team and the church worship team so much credit now, because you kind of don't really understand what goes into it. When we were planning, we were like, oh, we might have some worship. We might have like some lighting, some screens for putting up lyrics and stuff like that. And you don't really realize, like, when you actually go to do it, that things cost like money, and planning things out is like very difficult. But luckily, we were gifted with some smart people who are able to like put these things together. We were able to put together a sort of rinky-dink operation that obviously hopefully will get better from here, but it works. It gives us enough of a platform to get things started. An example of something that we hit was our meetings are at this park at the top of a hill. The fun fact about that little park is that there's no light. It's pitch black. So we're up there trying to plan this meeting. We absolutely can't see like 2 feet in front of our face. So So we had to like get lights. We realized that people might not know all the lyrics. So we had to get like a TV screen for lyrics. Like all these different factors just like thrown at you is like kind of hard to get over. But like once you are able to work with other people and get past those things, it makes for a really good bonding experience type thing.
That's awesome. So it sounded like just getting the basics of everything together, just something that is just when you're starting something, it's always a rush to kind of organize. How long have you guys been meeting now?
So this week will be our third meeting, our in total. So we've had 2 previous meetings that went really well, and then this is going to be our like official third one this week.
Tell me about that.
So the meetings are kind of similar to what we do, honestly, because I think most churches run things kind of similarly. So we'll start like everyone's just chilling out, talking, like mingling, introducing, and then we have someone come in like, "Hey guys, welcome." And then we go into worship. Luckily, the good thing about Point Loma is that everyone and their mom is gifted in music. So we got people who can play the guitar, like the keys, like singers. It's singers galore. So we got people singing everywhere. And then our worship team's like really strong. We have like people every week coming and asking like, "Yo, can I help with worship?" And then we're like, "Sure, why not? The more the merrier." So we're fortunate enough to have a lot of people running a worship team. And then after that, we'll dive into like the word. We don't really like calling it a sermon because then that makes us sound like we're like pastors or something above everyone else. But we dive into the word or like the message that we're trying to hit. And then from there, we go back into worship and prayer and then kind of end things off and then give people a space to like get to know someone else or like talk about their problems or like ask questions. It's like that safe environment I was talking about earlier.
So it sounds like you're cultivating a place where people can gather together, worship the Lord, but also like get to know each other and build that community piece that you said that you guys were trying to accomplish. So tell me about that first meeting that you had and build up to it, talking to people. How was that experience for you? And what did God do during that time?
Yeah, it was a crazy week, honestly. Like God was kind of doing some crazy stuff in like my life and everyone else's life that week. We had planned like the week before, like next week's gonna be our first meeting. Let's like get all the kinks out, get all the bad stuff out. So we like got it down to like a fine-tuned like plan that we orchestrated, like you heard with the worship and stuff. That wasn't there the like days before. We made that like had to put it together on the spot. We made an Instagram account. At first we only had like 15 followers, and even then followers don't matter, but we were just like we were expecting such a small turnout. We thought it was going to be a little Bible study type thing, talk a little bit, have fun with our friends. The more we started like going on in the week, the more I realized the more people were coming. We have a cafeteria and people would like come up to me and be like, "Hey, your thing on Friday is going to be so much fun." And I was like, first of all, I don't know you. Second of all, thanks, I guess. And I started to get like more nervous about it, I guess. But then once I like took a step back and realized like I don't have anything to be nervous about. Like it's not for me. It's not my thing. It's like it's all for Jesus. So who cares? Like there's no point in being nervous. The night before, Thursday, because we meet on Fridays, we had like a little test run. We had a team prayer and we were like, "You know what, God, whatever you intend, like whether it's one person or whether it's 100, we just hope that we're able to connect to that one person tonight." Like,
wow.
I hope that we're able to just nail that down. That Friday when we got to the meeting, it was about 6:45 and we were like, there was 10 people. We were like, "Oh, we can start early. This is everyone." And then as soon as 7 hit, like it was like that, we had easily over like 100 people come. And I think in total we had like, I'd say like 90 to 100, like maybe even more. And it was insane. It was so crazy.
That's so encouraging that people were were super interested in trying to find that place and cultivate that space. You guys go through that meeting. How has week 2 and week 3 been as a result of that kind of like initial 100 people?
Yeah. So week 1, obviously like there was a lot of hype behind it because everyone wanted to come and see it. But I think week 2 is kind of where people figure out what their stance is on things. We had very positive feedback, like, "Oh, this is so much fun. I'm going to be sure to come back." And then we also had the other side of the argument where people were like, "You had no place to be talking to us about this. Like, you shouldn't be doing this." And it's not like I'm upset or torn up. I mean, criticism is everywhere. And Jesus even said, like, the walk of a Christian isn't an easy one. You're going to face criticism everywhere. So getting that opinion from both sides was really good. But the second meeting was actually like just as good. We obviously didn't have the same turnout we did, but we still had a good amount of people that were there ready to dive into the word. And honestly, that's like all we could ask for at the end of the day. I mentioned it a little bit before, but something like I stand by with this group. If it's 1 to 100, I'd rather get to know one person and really change their life and like help them come to God than have 100 people listen and do nothing. Because like, what's the point of people coming if nobody's like coming to Jesus or strengthening their faith?
That's so great, Kyler. So encouraging to hear that. Yeah, it's if that 100 people come, they just leave and lives aren't changed, then what's the point? But if that one person comes and that person's life is changed, like that's what we celebrate as Christians. So super encouraging, Kyler, to see that you have that kind of head on straight. You guys have that vision and the goal and those objectives. Is there anything that was super encouraging that maybe like a story from someone or maybe someone from your team that you can share about?
A success story I have kind of comes in like a way you wouldn't expect. It's not like someone came up to us and was like, "Good job, high five." Like it wasn't like that. We gave out these little note cards with like pens to like write. Obviously, it was like COVID safe. Don't worry, don't cancel me. COVID safe. But we had people write like on paper their prayer requests, any thoughts, any ideas, and we only had blue pens. But afterwards, we were opening the notes and we noticed that there was one note in red and it looked scribbly. And like obviously, it could be someone just being messed up playing a joke. Or it could be like something more, Out of all the notes, all of them were like encouraging except for this one. And this one was telling us like, you have no place to be doing this. Like you aren't God, go away. Even if it wasn't some divine intervention type thing, I think it was a really cool idea that like, it's kind of showing us how like the enemy is going to come at you and no matter what you do. Like just because we're strengthening our faith doesn't mean the devil or the enemy is going to run away. It actually means he's going to come like harder and even stronger. So I feel that like seeing that there is going to be people against us and there is going to be people throwing shade at us or trying to shame us for it. It's kind of like strengthening and reassuring, almost more motivating to strengthen our bond so we could be even stronger to fight those things and like that negativity.
Sometimes we as Christians forget that we're fighting a war. And yeah, we have God's angels armies on our side, that song, but it's a war and we're in battle constantly. And so when we are kind of sharpening our tools and learning more and arming ourselves in training, there's going to be opposition as a result. That's a good sign that you guys are doing something to disrupt, and something to grow in. Kyler, to you as a person, how has this challenged or shaped you as you kind of have been organizing this?
I think most importantly out of everything, it's kind of like kept me in check. It's been like a constant reminder that like if you're gonna go up and talk to these people, you can't be someone who goes back to the dorm room after you do it and just completely disregards God and does whatever you want. It's been like keeping me in check. So like fortunately being on like a Christian campus, it's been a great way to find community with people. I can come back to my dorm room, like our hall, and just talk to any of the guys about, we have like faith talks at like 12 a.m. like almost every night, just random stuff talking about this book of the Bible or something we learned from our devotionals. It's just like being able to hold myself accountable. That's one big thing. And it's also been like really motivating for me to like practice new things I haven't really practiced before. Before coming to college this semester, one thing I struggled with a lot was like actually taking the time to open up my Bible and like dive into it through like devotionals and like just talking with other people. I've been able to like open up my Bible and go into like the word for the first time like in my life, which is like really cool because now I feel like I'm strengthening my faith personally instead of trying to fix other people. I'm finally like fixing myself, if that makes sense.
It kind of is your checks and balances that you have to hold yourself to a higher standard as a leader, but also it's challenging you to dive deeper into the word so that you can grow as a Christian even more to be able to help other people. That's awesome, Kyler. Is there anything that we can be praying for you and this in Rooted?
Yeah, praying obviously is like such a huge part of community. And I just appreciate any prayer for like just us. We're a bunch of college kids. We obviously don't have the most wise head on our shoulders, but just giving us the prayer to have that wisdom of God and just to push us to do the right thing. And then one last thing I want to leave everyone with is use this as a way to kind of look and see how it's not that difficult to like talk to the person next to you, whether it be your neighbor, a close friend, a coworker, just like talking to them and asking them like the uncomfortable questions. We have a church near our campus called Park Hill Church, and I try my best to go every Sunday. And one thing they said was the awesome is in the awkward. And I think that's just such an important thing because being able to find that community in the most uncomfortable of places is where you can really strengthen your faith. So being able to talk to someone about the uncomfortable things, your problems, their problems, sin, anxiety, like all those problems, I think it's really important. And I just encourage you to take that step today to go talk to that person or reach out to someone and hopefully lead both of you closer to God.
Wow. Well, Kyler, thanks for sharing that word. I'm super encouraged by what you're doing and the word that you shared. Thanks so much for telling that story. And we will be continuing to be praying for you guys as you guys continue Rooted.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.